I'd now like to introduce Anne Richards, who's the chair of the board at TheCityUK. Hello, Anne. Thanks. Oh, you get music.
I do love that music. It does make us feel quite cool, and in financial services, you don't feel cool very often. So that's a great intro. So thank you very much, Claire, and of course to Sandra for that incredibly insightful speech. Lots of fantastic detail there. Well, good morning, everyone. It really is a huge pleasure to be here to welcome you all to the Future Skills Conference, which is a combined effort of the City UK, which I have the privilege to chair, and the Financial Services Skills Commission. So I would like to join Claire in thanking our sponsors. None of this would happen without them. KPMG, Lloyds Banking Group, Nationwide and NatWest, as well as, of course, our superb group of panelists and speakers who are giving up their time today to really enrich the discussion that we hope we'll all have. Now, Sandra went into a lot of detail, really important, insightful detail. What I'm going to try and do is just lift things up a little bit and try and kind of join the dots at an industry level into some of the initiatives that we're talking about. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to talk about how we ensure that the UK's financial and related professional services industry has the talent and the skills it needs to thrive in the future and to drive the country's economy. Our businesses, all of these businesses, they are built on skills. And Winston Churchill said in 1943 that the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. And how right that has proven to be if you think back to some of those charts that Sandra put up. This collection of financial and related professional services sectors generates a trade surplus of £114 billion, and it employs almost 2.5 million people. Those are 2023 numbers, which contribute some £110 billion in tax receipts for the UK Treasury. This stuff really matters, and we could call it a skills dividend, and it is the result of centuries of innovation, centuries of investment into the institutions and the firms that have made the UK a world-class financial centre, and importantly, centuries of skills passed down to new generations. Legal skills, accounting skills, investing skills, management skills, soft skills, technology skills, all enabling economic growth right across the UK and supporting companies both at home and abroad. But the skills dividend is fragile. It is under constant attack from two fronts. The first is that without investment, skills naturally decay. Not because of an aging brain, although it sometimes feels like that for me, but because skills gradually lose their relevance over time. Claire, you mentioned adaptability, and I couldn't agree more. There's not much need today for gas lamp lighters on our city streets, which is what one of my great-great-grandfathers happened to do as a career. And every new generation starts from zero. No one is born with an innate knowledge of how to draft a contract or how to use a discounted cash flow valuation model. At least I hope that's the case, because it would be quite unsettling for new parents. But it's a real issue. We have to have that constant reinvention. And then the second challenge is competition. We've talked about the outsized dividend we get from our skills. Well, even a dividend based on skills must be built upon. Its strength needs to be maintained in a competitive world where lots of other people are looking to do exactly the same thing. So while professional skills for us are a competitive advantage, we've got to be aware of the constant need to maintain and improve on them over the long term. Domestic capability has to be the bedrock of this. We need both skills and the level of proficiency. And in financial services, over 2/3 of skills face a proficiency gap. The skills might be there, but some are not at the level really needed to do all the tasks that we need them to do. Now, government is beginning to respond. Skills England has been created precisely to map current and future shortages and pool Whitehall, combined authorities, industry and unions into a single evidence-based plan. Its first report warns that lack of skills is holding back growth and social progress alike, and it calls for a tighter feedback loop between colleges, universities and business. But international talent remains indispensable. We continue to remind policymakers that international and domestic talent are not incompatible, they are complementary. The best global talent brings innovation and creativity, stimulating domestic talent. The global talent and the global business mobility visas for intra-company transfers need to be processed quickly if we're to outcompete Hong Kong, Dubai, Paris and Singapore for the brightest talents. And policy in this area, not just the skills, but policy in this area will have to be agile. As negotiations with the EU over a youth mobility scheme are set to begin, this shows that agile diplomacy can reopen channels for early career talent without recreating full free movement. Regional pools, that's another underexploited asset. 2/3 of the nearly 2.5 million people working in financial and related professional services, for instance, are already based outside of London in hubs from Belfast to Bristol. And across the country, local skills improvement plans, brokered by mayors and underwritten by Skills England, now have the potential to partner with employers to align levy spending, boot camp places, and local education provision with the growth clusters identified in the industrial strategy, whether that is quantum in the northeast or offshore wind in Humberside. And this will help to deliver the coordination, the clarity, and the consistency that will allow firms across our industry to invest even more in skills and local economies. And doing so activates the whole UK labour market that the government's growth mission envisages. Now, finally, skills policy can't sit in a silo. The forthcoming industrial strategy must treat skills as critical infrastructure, just like ports or broadband. Universities and further education colleges, meanwhile, need effective incentives to work even more closely with employers so that graduates arrive into the world of work job ready and able to upskill fast over a working life that will span several technological revolutions that we can't even begin to imagine yet. Similarly, we know that future generations will face challenges that are impossible for us to imagine. So skills are the tools with which they will overcome those challenges, adapting and reinventing them to the requirements of their specific roadblock or paradigm shift. So, given the skills dividend is worth tens of billions to the economy, it is absolutely crucial that we place it at the forefront of policy for the long term. Now, before I go, and as this is my last speech as chair of the TheCityUK board, I would like to thank Miles and the team, who are all here, for all their support and hard work over the past 3 years, and indeed thank them for the amazing skills that they've demonstrated. And I also want to take the opportunity to wish my successor, Omar Ali, all the very best for this role for the next 3 years. Now, when I started in 2022, my predecessor, Mark Tucker, the chairman of HSBC, said he hoped I'd have a calmer time in the role than he did dealing with the COVID pandemic. Well, 4 prime ministers and 5 chancellors later, I'm not sure, and I'm very wary of passing on the same jinx to Omar. But all I will say is to him to break a leg and good luck, and I look forward to working with you in my new role as chair of the TheCityUK Leadership Council. So thank you all very much indeed. And now back to our incomparable compere, the chief executive of FSSC. We should think of some better letters because that's so hard to say. Claire Tunney. Thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Yeah, we should, a shorter acronym would be helpful. Thank you for your support, Anne, and I hope this is your last engagement as chair of TheCityUK. It was the most memorable, hopefully. Anyway, thank you.